Okay, business accelerator tip number 2 is lead through being of service to others. This is very important, and really this is what the whole entrepreneur business accelerator is all about. Okay, so in today's day and age, people kind of know when somebody's not genuine, when somebody's really not out to help you out, that they're really just there to sell you something. If you want to be successful, this is an extremely, extremely important tip. The only way really to be successful to your customers, to your clients, okay, is to be of service to them. They have to trust you. They have to realize that you are genuine and that you really want to be able to go out and help them. If they feel that you're just there to make a buck off of them, you know what? They're going to read that instantly, and you're just going to scare them off. Okay, think of the proverbial car salesperson, right? The car salesman. When you walk into the car dealership and their car is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Off the bat, car salesmen come up to you and they're going to make all these pitches. I'm going to sell you this car today. You're going to get a great deal, blah, blah, blah. And most of the time, you really don't believe them, right? Because you know that they're not genuine, that they're really just there to make a buck so that they can make a commission. Now, how do you be of service to others? Well, back to the car dealership, car salesman example. There was a car salesperson who loved cars, okay? And he basically he worked for a number of dealerships. He loved cars. He loved talking about cars. And what he thought was he started working for a Honda dealership. Now, the Honda dealership, he loved the Hondas, but what he would do is people who came in, he approached it a little bit differently. He would ask them, well, you're interested in this Honda Accord? Well, what else are you interested in? Well, people would obviously give them the list of cars that they're also looking at. I like the Toyota Camry, I like the, I like this Ford, I like this Chrysler, I like this Mazda, whatever the case may be. And what he would do is, well, he wouldn't actually knock any of those cars. He would say, oh yeah, the Toyota Camry, that's a fantastic car. It has this, and this, and then people would actually look at him and say, wow, you're giving us other information on all these other cars? And then what he would do is he would take it one step further. So if somebody came to him and say, I want to buy this Accord, but I'm also looking, he'd find out what else they were looking at. Well, I'm looking at these other 3 cars. Okay, so what he would do is he would arrange to have those cars either brought to the client's house or brought to the dealership so that the customer can drive all those other competitors' cars. Now think about that. That's absurd. Maybe you're watching this and you run a car dealership and you would, probably kick this guy out of your dealership, right? Now, what would happen? Well, the customers thought, wow, this guy's incredible. He's a Honda salesman, but he's making us drive, all these other cars. Now, what would happen in that case? Well, what would happen is, at the end of the day, a car is a car, right? So, the Accord is similar to the Camry, which is similar to whatever the, Ford equivalent is and the Chrysler equivalent. But people would actually really, really find this guy trustworthy, find him genuine, and ultimately, not everybody, but most people actually ended up buying the Accord from him because he just offered that much more value. Now, this guy was pretty shrewd. He wouldn't just necessarily do this with everybody. He would actually kind of look at people when they came in, ask them a bunch of questions, and what his strategy was as well, if I'm the first dealership that this customer comes into because they like the Accord, chances are the Accord is their first car of choice, because think about it from your perspective. When you're looking at buying a car, you might have 2 or 3 choices, but you really do have that one car you really probably want to buy, and chances are you're going to go to that dealership first. He would recognize this, and then he would focus his efforts on those customers, knowing that, well, if this guy really likes the Accord, then even if he's driving the competitors' vehicles, well, you know what, he's probably going to stick with the Accord anyway. I've given him that value, and he's going to buy from me. And you know what? It actually happened. This guy, if he did this 10 times, then maybe 7 people would end up buying the car from him, as opposed to not only his Honda dealership, but other Honda dealerships around the area as well. Why? Because he offered a service. He was genuine. They realized, they saw the passion in this guy. So basically, what the moral of this story is, do what you love in the service of people who love what you do, right? Which means, you know, you're passionate, you have to be passionate about what you do. You have to be passionate about your product, passionate about your service. But you have to serve the customer. And the best customer to serve is the customers who love what you do. And in this course, we're going to be looking at a bunch of ways to do this. We're going to be looking at, you know, unique value propositions. We're going to be looking at ways to add value to your product or service that will basically give you that trust factor with your customers. Give you that element, you know, give them that element that, wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. He's passionate about it. He really cares about me. Okay, think of someone like Oprah Winfrey or Dr. Oz. How did these people become so famous? How did they become multi-billionaires? Well, because they're serving others. They're genuine in what they do. They actually want to serve others, and obviously in the process, they've become rich themselves. So that's accelerator tip number 2. Let's move on to accelerator tip number 3.